What do you see here? This collection of climbing plants with big green leaves grows on a patch of ground about 10 meters by 6 meters. There are 6 rows, each row supported by tall poles, which in turn support thinner poles for the plants to clamber on. Gardeners are more accustomed to seeing climbing beans on teepees and fences. In my case, the rows are just the conical teepee unrolled into a straight line. It's not a new idea. In this photo from the 1940s era, a boy is kneeling in a row where the beans are supported on strings. The rows in this case are set further apart to allow for frequent passage of workers picking fresh beans on both sides of the row. We live in a world where fertilizer on farms is a controversial topic. Fertilizer, particularly nitrogen, is both necessary for adequate yields and a problem for some scientists, since if the nitrogen gets loose, it can create excess growth in the wrong places. Synthetic fertilizers, which are readily soluble, allow rapid uptake in plants, but also permit some of the applied nitrogen to escape into groundwater, and from there on is a loose cannon. So the issue then is how to provide enough nitrogen for small farms for adequate plant growth, while keeping the nitrogen focused as much as possible on availability to plants. A gardener would view these rows as capturing nitrogen from the atmosphere and storing it in the tissues of the vine. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria in nodules on the bean roots obtain the plant's required nitrogen without need for applied synthetics. The close spacing of the rows is intended to suppress inter-row weed growth. The crop will mainly be taken as dry beans late in the season when the dead vines are removed, so the inconvenience to passage between the rows is not really an issue. When the crop is harvested, the vines will be cut at ground level, the thin poles detached from the supports with the vines intact, the dry pods removed for seed harvesting, and then the dead vines separated from the poles and composted. This leaves the root intact in the soil together with accumulated nitrogen in the root tissues. This will be slowly released for the benefit of the following crop in the next growing season as the roots decompose. This block of beans has just survived a 3-week period of continuous hot, dry wind and showed no sign of stress at all. The only problem so far has been birds seeking to open immature pods to get at the soft seeds inside. Climbing beans closely spaced will capture much more nitrogen than dwarf bush beans. For maintenance, there is the issue of a good solid support. Tall beans can be blown down in a strong wind, and restoring the whole top-heavy crop to a vertical stance can be a great challenge. Best to build solid to begin with. In this arrangement, the majority of the main vertical supports are black locust poles cut from my bush. Not only is black locust a strong wood, but also resists rotting when inserted into the ground. These main posts are inserted early in the season, so they can be firmly washed into place by spring rains. As part of a rapid rotation system, this rather boring bean forest should build up nitrogen in the soil without the need for synthetic fertilizer. It should be slow release and less likely to wander.